My name is Bill Harlow. I was president of the Rotary Club in 1992-93. That was a time when we were meeting at the Doubletree Hotel. We had approximately 300 members. Helen Middleton was still our executive secretary. Her office was located on East Broadway on the second story of a building that she and her husband Jack owned. Dues were, I believe, $135 a quarter, which is slightly less than what they are now. We had 52 committees, and in terms of the times, as evidenced by some of our programs, our senator was Dennis DeConcini, and John Kyle in 1992 was still a representative and not a senator. And one of the interesting programs, again, that identifies where we were in 1992, we had a gentleman come and he spoke about how computers were beginning to be used in businesses. And so, obviously, the Rotary office had no computers. Helen had her beautiful ledger where she kept attendance, and she could tell you anything you wanted to know, probably faster than a computer could tell you. So another real highlight for me, I remember before the year started, we always have a historian, and Jim Officer had often been the historian, and when I asked him that year if he would be historian, he looked at me and said, I'll be a historian if you will give me something to do. So I said, Jim, that's great. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you 3 or 4 minutes at every single meeting to present a reminiscence of something that went on in Rotary since the club was formed. And I think his eyes kind of lit up and he said, I will do it. And for those people who know Jim Officer, it's not only that he has a great historical perspective on things, but he also has such a wonderful way, had such a wonderful way of presenting things. So every meeting, he didn't do all of them, but he did most of them. He got up and he gave us a moment in history of our club, and they were just fascinating. And the nice thing about Jim was that he always set the stage. He didn't just get up and say, well, this is what the bulletin said, or this is what happened. He would tell us, like, what was it like in Tucson during that period of time, or give us some background before he presented his Rotary reminiscence. And as we went along, I thought they were so significant, and of course he wrote them all up, and so interesting that later, after my year, we ended up putting it into a book, which is called Rotary Reminiscences, which has been given to every Rotarian over the years. Ace Bushnell, the old newspaper guy, offered to do the headlines, and he did a fabulous job, and then we hired somebody to do the layout, and I think it is just a really fabulous book. We had, during the year, we had programs that of course ranged from our regulars. We had Dick Tomey. Interestingly enough, we also had Bruce Snyder, who was a football coach at ASU. We had Lute Olson, and reference rabbits, it is noted that there were no rabbits when Lute Olson was there. In addition, we had Emery Barker was program chairman, so we had 3 judges who came and spoke to us. We had programs about nutrition. We had programs about world violence. We had programs about the Desert Museum. We had pretty nice broad range of programs that were covered either local issues. We had politicians there. We had Senator DeConcini. We had John Kyle there. In '92, we had Mike Hellion, who was a Republican National Committeeman. And I would say in '92 we were much more Republican than we are today, and so that possibly worked. And he was reasonably unbiased in his presentation.
What advice would you give somebody who was aspiring to be the president of the Rotary Club of Tucson?
I thought about that. Advice to someone aspiring to a leadership role, I would say don't aspire. I would say go do the work, and if you do the work, someone will come and tap you on the shoulder and say you're the guy. I have seen a couple of instances where people aspired and thought they were deserving and weren't selected, and they were disappointed. So I think we've done a wonderful job over the years of selecting outstanding leaders. And I think most of them have been selected just simply because they did good work. So my advice is don't aspire.